Welcome to Steeped in Wellness, brought to you by Matcha.com. Here we spill the tea on wellness trends, personal growth, and the latest health news. Now, here are your hosts, licensed dietitian Diana Weil and medical journalist Laura Hodgebat-Terrace.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Steeped in Wellness.
This week we have Cori Sartori, who is a certified integrative life and mindset coach, an author and a breast cancer survivor, and founder of SLC Life Coaching. Since 2016, she has helped high-achieving women overcome limiting beliefs, build confidence, and create fulfilling lives and businesses through her holistic coaching approach. Cori draws on her personal journey of transformation and resilience to guide clients in aligning mind, body, and purpose. She is the author of Thrive and Flourish, Self-Development Strategies for High-Achieving Women in Business and Life, which offers tools for lasting personal and professional growth. Welcome, Cori.
Hi, thanks. So happy to be here.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you. I know that you do a lot of manifestation work, which is something I'm so excited to tap into.
Yeah.
But I think my first question for you is just to hear a little bit about your journey. I know that you were a yoga teacher and now you're into life coaching. And I think, how did you get here?
Well, thank you for the question. How did I get here? I did a lot of self-development starting in 2013. I had been living in the Bay Area. And I ended up in the Bay Area because I was really good at running away from my life and my problems. When things would happen, I would just run away. And at the time before that, prior to me running away, it was because I had spent over a decade in a toxic codependent relationship. So I had been in an off again, on again relationship with somebody very active in alcohol and drug abuse. And I was such an enabler, but you don't know what you don't know until you know it. So I had no idea. He was the problem. I wasn't. And it just was a very negative, unhappy place to be. And I spent a decade there, right? I would choose to drink to numb out, to not acknowledge that I was stuck and I was in this place of negativity. And in 2013, I came back from living in the Bay Area. I live in Salt Lake City. I came home and was introduced to yoga and really self-development. At the same time, I was given the book, The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, love it, right? And it changed my life. When he talks about don't take things personally, it's like you can hear something a million times until you're ready to hear it, you won't hear it. And I heard it and it was like glass shattering, oh, the things that people have done to me, that's not about me. That has nothing to do with me. And it was such a great start for me to begin healing. And once I started, I couldn't stop. With the yoga, I was like, I'm all in. I'm here for it because I started to feel joy, which I hadn't felt in years. I was a very negative person. I was that person where if I met another female that was joyful and was a happy person, I was like, she is so fake. I just immediately judged her and hated her, right? I was like, she's fake, ew. Because I was so unhappy. People will tell me now, they're like, oh my gosh, I always thought you were so confident. And I was like, that was my ego running the show. My ego was protecting me. I was not confident. I was a jerk. So when I came back in 2013 and I started the tasting what my life could be like, I dove in. I did so many different things. I did Landmark Worldwide. I did any workshop. I read every book. I listened to all the podcasts. I really dove into vision and goal work, which I tell a lot of people, that's my foundation for my self-development. Because if I didn't have vision and goal work, I wouldn't have the life I have today. I wouldn't be teaching yoga. I wouldn't be an author. I wouldn't be a life coach. I wouldn't be a mom. So vision and goal work is really, really powerful for me. And for the next 3 years, I just was all in. And things started to happen. My life started to change. And I had heard about life coaching. And I was like, that is something I'm interested in. And I went on this magical trip to Japan. I had a Reiki session by this woman who didn't speak English and I didn't speak Japanese. But my sister-in-law is Japanese, and so she translated. And it was this life-changing experience. It made me aware that I had changed who I was for every relationship for always since I was 16. Like she took me all the way back to when I was 17, and I stopped being my truth because I was dating somebody who was a narcissist and just not a good person. And I just was having all these eye-opening moments. I was like, all these glass was being shattered. I was becoming the person I knew like I was meant to be. And I knew I had to share it with others. And so my mom texted me and said, I'm going to get you, I'm going to pay for you to get your life coaching certification. And I was like, great, I'm all in. I quit my job like a month later. My partner thought I was completely insane. So, but I just knew it was my purpose. I knew it was my calling. And so I started my business in 2016, and I've been doing it for almost a decade, and I love it.
So for listeners who don't know, could you walk us through like what is life coaching exactly? What does it entail?
What is life coaching? So for me, it's action. It's figuring out all of those things that they don't teach you in school. Like I feel like there were so many things that impacted me through my growth journey. That's what I teach my clients, right? So I get to coach from my life experience. So to me, life coaching is action. When I work with clients, they tell me through a client intake form, they tell me the things from the past and everything. We do mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, because I want to be holistic. I want to help people heal their entire lives. So life coaching is being in action. So I gather the information from the past. We talk about it on the first call, but then we're moving forward. We're not having constant conversations about the past. Like if you are constantly talking about the past, then your future will be your past. So we get into action. We're moving forward. So like, these are your goals. We do a lot of vision and goal work. I love it. Like, let's get that clarity, because you ask somebody, where do they want to be in 10 years? And so many people will be like, I have no idea. I mean, when I started asking people 10 years ago, like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? They're like, why are you asking me such personal questions? And I'm like, oh, okay.
So do you think, I mean, I think at least for me, there's always a question of like therapy versus life coaching and how it sounds. I mean, I feel like you did kind of answer it, but what is the difference between therapy and life coaching? And do they both have a role?
Totally.
I mean, obviously, of course they both have a role, but like,
Yes.
do they both have a role together? Or do you feel like it's beneficial for someone to just focus on life coaching or just focus on therapy and then kind of mix and match?
I love to work alongside people's support systems. So if somebody is in therapy, I want to work alongside that, right? They're working on something that I don't have a master's in, social work. I teach through what I've learned. I have certifications, but I have a lot of life experience. And so I love therapy. I go to therapy, but when I'm in therapy, I talk about things. I don't get into action, and I get my clients into action. We're moving forward. And it's interesting. I've had a lot of clients that have come to me that have shared with me, I've been in therapy for years and I got more results with you in the first 30 days than I ever did in therapy. And my perception is because they're going into their therapist and they're talking about the past and they're reliving their same story, because it's a story that they created and they're telling that same story over and over and over. So they're not moving forward. And when we work together, let's talk about it once and then let's get into action. If this is the life you want to create, if this is what you want to heal from, if this is who you want to become, you have to do something.
So Cori, how do you find you hold your clients accountable? I guess that's kind of the extent of it compared to a therapist, is like there is an accountability factor. So can you just like walk us through kind of, I don't know, like a real life example?
Yeah, of accountability.
Like goal setting, and then how do you do you check in with them weekly? How are you holding them accountable to get to X goal?
So how I hold my clients accountable. So I work with one-on-one clients, and then I have a group coaching. So anybody that's in my one-on-one program, they can come to every call I host. I do weekly calls with my group coaching clients. So on Mondays, we do goals and I call it an accountability call, because we're going to talk about your wins from the last week, and we're going to talk about your goals for the week before, and then how I can support you. So we come to those calls, and here's the thing. We have to talk about wins, because people don't talk about wins And so we start the call with like, tell me your wins from last week, because that is such a better energy to start with. And like, well, I didn't accomplish this last week. It's like, you did win. So we do that when we do goals. So there's that accountability. We have a group chat on Telegram so we can check in with each other. And then we have a call on Wednesdays. That's a training call. So at 4 p.m. Mountain time on Wednesdays, we do a training call. And so it can be about anything. We do self-worth. We can talk about money mindset. We do a lot of things. We do manifestation, vision and goal work. So they get to learn something. And then if we have time after, we get to have a conversation. I support them on what they need. And then my one-on-one clients, they get on a one-on-one call with me every other week. And so they get that one-on-one support specifically for what's going on. And they can also connect with me through the chat. And so I try to give a lot of support, because when you decide to do this work, it pushes you out of your comfort zone. And so I think the accountability and the support in the community is such a powerful piece of coaching, because I have clients that will come to the call and they'll say, okay, well, I didn't get this done. And then they get down on themselves, and then they'll start to self-sabotage. And so then I get to bring them back and say, no, we're going to celebrate. Like, you did have a lot of great wins. I start every call with every client with wins. That is where we always start, because it is easy, especially when you're working on shifting your mindset, to think about what you didn't accomplish rather than what you did. And so starting with those wins, that's the start of shifting your mindset.
Okay, I have a question about that. So I think whether someone has a coach, so whether someone is a coach or someone who is coaching themselves, I feel like a lot of times we set goals, we don't accomplish those goals, you know?
Yeah, totally.
What advice do you have for either other coaches who are listening to this, or someone who is trying to achieve something and feels like they're just never, you know, if like they set a goal that they're going to meal prep on Mondays, and Monday after Monday, they just aren't meal prepping.
Yeah.
Like, what's your advice for that?
I would say, what is your vision? Like, what is our destination? Where do we actually want to go? And I love habits. I think having habits of meal prepping and things like, it's so powerful, but like, what's the why behind it? If there's no why, then why are you doing it? Especially when it's like, I know eating healthy day after day, eating the same thing. I'm like, I am so bored of you, but I do it because I know how, like, I know what my destination is. I know where I want to be in 10 years. And so if anybody is in that place, I would say, get clarity on your vision. That clarity is so valuable. When you know where you're going, then you can create the action plan to get there. Because very often I see people writing out goals, but they don't actually know where they're headed. So then they're trying to achieve all these things that aren't getting them to where they want to be. And so when we sit down and say, hey, where do you want to be in 10 years? Let's get clarity on that vision. And let's talk about your entire world. We're going to talk about your personal life. We're going to talk about your career. We're going to talk about your health. What self-development are you doing? Where are you traveling? Like, we're going to get really specific. I'm going to help them get that vision. And then we're going to pull those goals, that action plan, to help them get there from that. From those goals, then we're going to plan every day. Okay, like, we're going to plan our weeks, we're going to plan our days, and we're getting into action. And there's going to be times where we fail, and that's okay. But then we like get back to it and we keep moving forward.
Yeah. So I feel like really figuring out like why is, you know, I just threw out the meal prepping example, but like, why is that actually important to you, and what goal is that leading you to in the long term?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it reminds me a bit of like what Diane and I do for work with project management, with experiential marketing, where, you know, it's just all the deliverables. These are all the things that have to happen. This is the general timeline we're setting. Maybe some things get delayed, but in the end, this is our goal. This is what we're hoping to achieve from this event. So that makes sense to me from like a practical standpoint. What I'm really interested in knowing is like how manifestation can impact all of this. And
we knew that word would come up at some point.
Right, it's going to come up. So I guess my first question is like, how do we define manifestation versus just like positive thinking, or like having like just my internal voice being my internal cheerleader?
Manifestation really is that law of attraction, right? It's that energy we're putting out into the world. For me, for many years, I wasn't aware of it. I didn't understand energy or what I was putting out into the universe. I was very negative. Like, I was very much a victim in my 20s. Everything was happening to me. And that energy definitely was having me attract negative things, negative people, negative experiences. I was attracting that. And then when I started to grow and shift and heal and shift my energy, positive, happy things started happening for me. Law of attraction is huge, but for me, what manifestation is knowing where I want to go and intentionally making time to sit and believe and have that certainty that it's going to happen. So that versus positive mindset, which you asked, to me is, I think positive affirmations are great. I have mine behind me. They're on the wall. I speak them to myself out loud every morning, right? They're new beliefs to me. I think that's a big part of manifestation. But you can positive think all day, but unless you're taking time to sit and intentionally feel those feelings of your future and sit with it and believe in it, it might happen, but it's going to happen a lot quicker if you're intentional about it, right? Because like, how many people create a vision board and they're like, oh, it's awesome. And then they put it in a drawer and they're like, well, it didn't happen. It's like, well, you weren't intentional with it. You weren't focusing on it. Like, I revisit my vision every day. I sit in meditation in the morning and I connect to that energy of my future. I connect to who I want to become and how I want to show up in the world. And it's the first thing I do in the day. How do I want to be in my day? I start that through meditation, and I'm manifesting in my meditations.
So would it be fair to say that like manifestation is positive thinking, but with action? Like
Yes.
you are you're tying action to that positive thinking.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's some visualization work too.
Yes.
I would think.
Like, let me give you an example. So one of the things that really made me believe in my power of manifestation was when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, because they wanted me to do 6 months of chemotherapy with 3 medicines. They wanted me to get a port. That to me was like, what? That is way too much. I didn't feel like that was the right choice for me. So I compromised and I said, I will do 4 rounds of chemotherapy. I will do 2 medicines and I'm doing them IV. I'm not getting a port. That's my compromise for this. So when I would go to my chemo appointments, I would intentionally like sit there and close my eyes. Like, here's the thing too, as I'm sitting in those chemo appointments, I did cold capping. Have you heard of that? Where you like,
that's a brand new thing.
Oh my gosh.
A friend of my wife's and I was just diagnosed and just explained this to us. Go ahead.
Yes. I mean, it is brutal because you put ice on your head to try to save your hair. I still lost 80% of my hair. And then because some of my chemo meds caused neuropathy, I had my hands and my feet in ice as well. So I was like sitting there in such pain. So I would close my eyes and I would imagine that I was healed from cancer. I would imagine the person I would be, how it would show up. I would imagine that something was destroying my cancer, right? I would believe that my tumor was getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So I sat in that. I did that constantly, right? And when I had a mastectomy on my left side. When I had that surgery, my surgeon told me that almost all of my cancer was gone, right? Like, I believed I was healed. That was not the first thing, but that was the real, like, one of the biggest things for me that taught me, like, you can manifest. Because I believed I was healthy. I believed I was healed. I would see, like, and I had more than one tumor after we did my MRI, and it was almost all gone, like specks. The surgeon said specks. And I was like, okay, chemo helped. But I believe that my belief that I was healed, my time sitting, manifesting, being in action, right? Like believing that certainty, I think was such a big part of it too. Like, I was certain that I could heal myself. That helped me to heal my body. And then when they told me they wanted me to do radiation, I just was like, no.
Wow.
I trusted myself.
I absolutely believe in the power of the body to heal itself. And, there's so many incredible stories of very similar to what you said, where people have this utmost belief that they will heal, and then they do.
Yeah.
And then because I have heard so many of these stories, I have the fear of creating the opposite, where if I'm like, my mind is so powerful, the mind-body connection is so real, what if I accidentally manifest the negative happening? Or what if so what do you say about that?
You will accidentally manifest the negative happening if you're constantly thinking about it. But here's the thing for me too, is like, in 2021, my word of the year was growth. Like, I was manifesting a baby. I was manifesting growing my business. I quit my full-time job. And then a month later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Like, that was not on my vision. That was not part of my goals. So that could look like I just manifested this really awful thing. But I will tell you, I did, because my word of the year was growth. And I will tell you, I grew so damn much that year, but in the most beautiful way. Yes, it was hard and it was brutal. So you might see something as being bad, but there is growth in that, and it's bringing you exactly what you want. And it's not happening in the way that you think it will. Like, we're like, let me control it. I was trying to control it. And things did not happen the way that I thought they would. But the things that have happened in these last 5 years are just incredible.
So it sounds like you're saying, Cori, with the manifesting good things, even if something may appear to be something awful on the surface, like breast cancer, there is beauty and good within it.
Yes. Yes. And you can manifest bad things if you are constantly thinking, like, say that you are single and that you want to find a partner, but you are constantly thinking and saying men are bad or women are bad. All men are toxic. All women are narcissists, right? If you're saying these things, that's what you believe, then that is 100% what you are attracting, because you believe it. So even if somebody that is probably amazing and wonderful, kind, comes into your life, you will not see them. You will not see that person, because you're looking for all of these garbage human beings, right?
It sounds like you're saying it's the intent behind the manifestation.
Yes, absolutely.
And I want to jump in here for a second. Obviously, none of us are doctors and give medical advice. If you are facing a health condition, consult your medical team. But I have worked on podcasts with cancer organizations, and I've had doctors and nurses say that your attitude can often make a significant difference when you are fighting a really uphill battle like the one Cori just described.
Absolutely. I think my mindset is what saved me during that time. When I think back on the beginning of that, I got lucky, and I was watching a documentary where somebody at the very end said, if you want to have a true gratitude practice, you have to be grateful for the shit. And that hit me, because I was sitting in my bed being sad I had cancer. And I was like, because I prided myself on being grateful. Like, that was something where I was like, I'm a very grateful person. And then when I heard that really changed everything. Right? Like, being able to lean into gratitude and be grateful that I got so much more time with my family. I got to be grateful for the people that were showing up for me in my life. I got to be grateful that I did have a little boy who was 3 years old when I was diagnosed. And I got to just be with him, right? And watch him be young. And so there was so much to be grateful for that. Yes, if you are going through anything that is hard like that, look at what you can be grateful for, because there are things, and it might be hard to see, but the more you lean into that and connect to that, even if you're just thinking about, okay, what can I be grateful for that happened in the last 24 hours? Like, that is such a powerful way to heal and grow.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, you've mentioned it, you have alluded to it, but I know a little bit about your story. So would you share with us your second pregnancy?
Yes.
And how that came about?
Yes. I'm sorry if I get emotional. I just love my kids.
Alara's pregnant with her second right now. So
I
think she can,
yeah. I'm like, here, let's say. Big old.
Oh.
Showing off the bump for those of you on the audio version. There you go.
Yes, always. Got to show it off.
Yes, it's such a blessing. So, let me backtrack. So when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I had been trying to have my second child. We had done fertility and I got breast cancer instead. So we decided we were going to do a round of IVF before I started my chemotherapy. So we did a round of IVF. We got 4 embryos from it. So I was like, okay, we're safe. But then they called me and they told me the week later that they all died. I will tell you that was harder than hearing I had breast cancer. That was, so hard. So, I waited until May of 2022, which was about a year after I had started chemo. So it was probably 8 or 9 months since I had my mastectomy and kind of had been on just the healing end. And so I reached out to my fertility doctor. This is May of 2022. And I asked him, what are my chances of having another baby? And they did the blood work, they did the test, and he came back and he told me that I had less than 5% chance of conceiving on my own. He said, if you want to have another baby, the best thing for you to do is embryo adoption. And while I think that's so beautiful and wonderful, I had my older son and I was so in love with him that I wanted to have another little person that was like my husband's and mine's. And so I just heard that and I decided I wasn't going to believe it, to be completely honest, right? I had already done the medications. I was done with meds at this point because my body had been through so much from the fertility stuff and the chemo and just all of the things that your body goes through. I was like, I can't do this again. And I couldn't do another round of IVF and then not have my embryos live. I just couldn't handle it. So I decided that I was going to manifest a baby. That is what I decided. May of 2022. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to manifest this baby. So I started to go to bed every night and I would lay in my bed and I would imagine that a white healing light was coming down onto my body. And I would imagine it was healing my uterus, my ovaries, because they didn't know what was wrong. I had very low egg count. They just were like, it's not going to happen for you. And so I just would visualize that. I would see that white light coming, healing. I would visualize finding out I was pregnant. I would visualize me being pregnant. I would visualize holding that baby. I just believed it was going to happen. I had that full belief it was going to happen for me. I intentionally manifested every single night, and I connected the feelings. I connected the feelings of that future. I think a lot of manifestation is your feelings, right? So you can write out a vision and you can write out goals, but if you don't connect feeling to it, it's going to take a lot longer to attract it. So I would lay in my bed and I would cry. I just would cry. I just got into it so much. I just fully believed it was going to happen. I remember it was October of 2022. My husband sat me down and he's like, Cori, it's not going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen for us. And I just was like, yes, it is. It's going to happen. I was certain. I knew it was going to happen. And so I had this moment where I was taking a bath and I just asked the universe, tell me what to do. I really want this baby. And I just felt this prompting to do the ovulation sticks. And I was like, are you kidding me? I have done these for the last 3 years. But I was like, okay, I'm going to trust that. And I found out I was pregnant 3 or 4 weeks later. After I trusted that, I got the ovulation sticks. And I found out it was 5 a.m. And I got up and I was just I knew. And at this time, my goal was to be pregnant by the end of 2022. That was my goal. I was like, I just have to get pregnant by the end of the year. That's what I'm going to do. And I took the pregnancy test and I just lost it. I called my husband. He was at work. He thought somebody was dead because I was just bawling. He's like, what is happening? And I'm like, I'm pregnant. And he couldn't believe it. So I believed, I told my husband, I'm like, I believed in that baby and I loved him before he was in existence. And that is like how I got him here. And also I want to say, when you're manifesting, remember it's going to be this or something better, because Nixon was supposed to be a little girl. But I'm a boy mom. I have 2 boys, and he is the most beautiful, perfect, wonderful little baby. I'm so obsessed with him. So yeah, that is how I brought that beautiful child into this world. I told my doctor on that first visit, she's like, well, how did you get pregnant? Like, did you do IVF? I was like, no, I manifested it. She's like, okay.
That's beautiful. I'm pregnant with my second boy, and there was a part of me that, you know, was kind of hoping to have a boy and a girl, but also very excited to be a boy mom. Yes. To kind of pivot in a different direction question-wise, sure. Any advice on terms of manifesting the right name for your child?
Manifesting the right name?
Yeah, how it's like, you know, what would be a good process to try and find the right name? It's hard.
Yes. Hard. Yes, it is. It is very challenging. Set that as your intention. So this is actually what I would do.
Okay.
Get a piece of paper and write down the letter N for name. N, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to write like little energy squiggles around it. I learned this from Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I believe it's awesome. So I'm going to put it out there for you. You can try
also sounds way less creepy than a Ouija board.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So write N for name and then do the squiggly energy. And so then on one side, I want you to write out like, what do you want in a name for your son? Like,
okay.
Do you want it to be bold? Do you want it to be unique? Like, think about, pick 5 like words to describe what kind of name you're looking for. And then on the other side, like, what is the feeling? Like, what's the feeling that connects to that, right? When you see this baby, like, what's that feeling that's going to generate from his name? And then just like sitting with it. And even just spending like 5 minutes a day to just sit, like, that is your intention. I want to connect to it. And then just have that awareness. Like, the universe is going to bring things into your life. And so you just have to be aware.
And at the end of the day, she landed on John. I can't believe it.
I know. Yeah. We'll see what the next one brings. It was like with my first son, my husband and I knew the name, 3 months into the pregnancy. This time I'm like, I think he's going to be born and I'm going to be looking at him and we're going to be figuring it out then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. I did that with my first. With my second, my older son named him. So.
Oh.
It's perfect. Because me and my husband could not agree on a name. I was like, no, none of your names are good. And he didn't like any of mine. So luckily Lincoln named his brother Nixon. So everyone thinks we have little presidents. I'm like, no, it's just how it worked out. And they're just such cute names. My purpose is definitely to be a mom, to make these boys just be the most incredible humans on earth.
Okay, so I have a funny story to tell you about you, Cori. I don't even know if you remember this, but when I was teaching yoga, you came to one of my classes, and I have to say that I was intimidated by you. I did think about you as this like very powerful, confident woman, and you and your then partner. And it was a small class, and right before class started, you're like, "Oh yeah, we're getting married today," and you guys were coming to my yoga class. Remember. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so honored to just play this very small part in your very special day." And I thought you guys were so cool because you were having such a laid back, chilled, you were just like going to a yoga class and you were going to get married later. And I remember playing, I don't think at the end I like played a love song, and I think I dedicated it to you guys. But the reason that I bring this up is because another thing that I know about you is that you guys had a difficult relationship.
Yes.
And you talk a lot about how you pivoted that and you were able, I don't remember who the quote is, but someone says that everyone's going to have like 4 or 5 marriages. And if you're lucky, it's to the same person. I'm butchering that quote. But it's a great quote. And I feel like you've done that. And so I would love to hear your story with your husband.
So my husband, Jake, is my codependent toxic relationship I had in my 20s.
The alcoholic, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So I met Jake when I believe I was 16 years old. We met in high school and we became really good friends. And we started seriously dating when I was 20, and it was a beautiful, wonderful relationship for that first year and a half. And then we broke up, and I just became toxic, and he really went into drinking. But we were always around each other because we hung around the same people and we had the same friends. And so we just couldn't get out of each other's lives. And he would be the person I would run. I mean, I ran away to Denver when I was 26 to get away from him. And then he pulled me back, and here I came back 6 months later, and we were together for the next 3 years, and we broke up, and I tried to run away. And then I came so it was a really hard relationship. The thing is I think I knew always how wonderful Jake was because I'd known him for so many years before he became active in his alcohol and drug abuse. And I just kept hoping he'd be that person again, right? So I was just an enabler. And I moved away to the Bay Area, and he came out there after me, and it just ended up being the same thing over and over. I said to him when I finally broke up with him, I am the definition of insanity. I'm doing the same thing with you over and over, expecting a different result. Like, I can't do this anymore. And so we broke up again, but he was still in the Bay Area with me, and his alcohol abuse got so, so bad. I called his family. I was like, if you do not come get him, he is going to be dead. So his family came and got him. This is December of 2012. And they brought him back to Salt Lake, and he got sober. So Jake's been sober now for 12 and a half years. And we still had some contact because some of his things were still in the Bay Area. But after probably a few months of him being back in Salt Lake, we stopped talking to each other. I just ended up having so much hate and resentment towards him because, again, I was the victim, right? I didn't know that I was part of the problem. I had no idea. And he came home and he got sober, and I came back to Salt Lake a year later, and I started doing self-development work. I started healing. I started realizing the things that Jake had done to me wasn't about me. I didn't take things personal. I really dove into self-development, and that helped me to do a lot of healing. And I got to this place where I could finally forgive. And that was probably 2 years later. This is 2015. I hadn't talked to Jake in years, but I go to this seminar, something in 2015, and this woman's on stage. She's talking about forgiveness and how it's important. We should forgive ourselves. She's really talking about self-forgiveness, but I was sitting there thinking, I've never forgiven Jake for the past. I've never forgiven him. And I never took accountability. And one of the things that was really big for me in my self-development was taking personal responsibility for my actions. That was and so I just felt like I need to do this. So I reached out to him. I believe it was the next day, and I was like, can I talk to you? And we hadn't spoken in a very, very long time. And I think it terrified him because he was like, can I see you today? And I was like, no, I was in Vancouver. I said, I'll see you next week. Can we meet up? And so I met up with him the following Monday, and I just sat down and I took accountability for who I was in our relationship, and I apologized. He tried to be like, no, it's and I was like, no, you have to let me, take responsibility and apologize for my part and let you know, I forgive you. Cause I was in such a place where I was just I was so happy. So I left that conversation. And when people say you just feel lighter, I was walking my dog, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this feeling? Because I was so much lighter just from letting that go and releasing that, whew. And 6 months later, my house floods, and everything in my house is made at the company that he works for. And so I text him late at night. It's 7:30 at night. And there's I don't know what to do. Right. I'm not good in a situation like that. So I texted him. I said, hey, do you have an emergency number for the plumbing company so I can get somebody out here? And he was like, I can come do it. I was like, no way. And he's like, I'll be right there. So he came over and he took care of it. Like, so that week he made everything happen. He fixed it. And a couple days later, he said to me, like, you're a different person. I want what you have. So I always say that Jake was my first life coaching client because I started teaching him. Like, I gave him the book, The 4 Agreements. I started teaching him the things I was learning. We did a lot of vision and goal work. We focused on gratitude. Like, that is the foundation for Jake and I's relationship, is gratitude. Because when he wanted to start working on himself, we started texting each other what we're grateful for every single day with no intention of ever dating him again. Like, Diana said to him, I was like, don't fall in love with me again. Like, this is not happening.
Famous last words.
Yeah. We were both never going to date again. But then I went on that trip to Japan, and there was so much healing that happened on that trip that when I got back to Salt Lake, I was like, should we date again? And 7 days later, I was like, this is it. Like, I just knew, I was like, no doubt in my mind, like, this is such a healthy place to be. We're completely different people. We have so much love for each other. Like, it was just it.
This is fascinating to me, Cori, because earlier you were talking about your past difficult relationships, and I think you used the word toxic earlier in the conversation, and not knowing your story in my head, I'm like, okay, yeah, we've all had those bad relationships. We're younger, we move on, we meet someone else. The fact you ended up coming all the way around to the same person it's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, we are grateful every day that we are where we are and we have our beautiful boys and we have this life together, because like, all of those bad things had to happen so we could be in this place. So we could be so much more grateful and appreciative and know that, like, this is it. Like, we're going to be together forever, no matter what. Like, we know that we're here for it and we're going to do the work. And it's so funny because for years I did not believe in soulmates, but I was like, somehow I just feel like you're my soulmate. And there's probably, like, we had to go through this challenge. Maybe in another life, we've had to go through other challenges to find each other. But like, this was a really hard one, but we did it. And now life is just beautiful. Like, I truly love my life.
And then, I mean, you guys obviously went through having children together. You went through breast cancer, also very challenging things. Outside of the gratitude practice, any advice to, young couples that are going through the child rearing years, the sleep deprivation, like how to, stay as a strong unit when things get really tough?
Yeah. Well, I think teamwork makes the dream work. So you have to be a team. Absolutely. And I think communication is very, very important. If you're not communicating how you're feeling or thinking, we get in this place where we assume that our partner can read our mind. We assume our partner knows how exhausted we are. And then we get mad because they aren't reading our mind and they don't know. And then that just causes resentment, right? Like, I remember I said this to Jake, I think this week, when Lincoln was, even Nixon, when they were little, and we would do shifts when they were the babies. Like, one of us would take till 2 a.m. and then we'd switch off. And, if it was 2:03 and he's like, the baby's up, I'm like, I hate you, right? Like, there was so much anger.
Yeah.
But like, having that communication and talking about it is what was so healthy for us, right? Like, because it is hard, especially when they're babies. Oh my gosh, that's so hard.
I've never thought that I hated my husband until the sleep deprivation. And then I'm like, I hate you.
We talked about that in a previous episode, Diana.
I know. I like really get this.
Yeah. Like, I love sleep. Oh, it's one of my favorite pastimes. Yeah, but communication, I think, in relationships, it has to be a constant communication, because the assumptions that are made, and here's the thing, I think marriage is the hardest relationship any of us are ever going to have, right? And none of us are doing it perfectly, and we're all failing, and that's okay, as long as we just let failure be the feedback so we can learn and grow. Like, something I started doing, which I will tell you has been just, on April 11th, I had spine surgery. I had surgery on my spine. And so my husband took time off to be here because we have Nixon, who's 1.5 years, and I can't pick him up. And having my husband home with me all the time, I love him dearly. But that is hard for any couple to be with each other all the time. And so what I decided was I was going to start really leaning into gratitude. Anytime I felt frustrated or annoyed, I was focusing on gratitude. And I will tell you, that was life-changing. I was like, I have to do this every day now until I'm dead. Because those moments where I'm just like, oh, I would just be like, I'm so grateful that my husband is here with me to support me and help me during this difficult time. And like that just shifted my energy. And then I wasn't upset anymore. Or I wasn't frustrated anymore. I wasn't annoyed anymore. And it just immediately shifted that. So I will tell you, like, leaning into that gratitude has been such, just for me, like, he doesn't know I'm doing it. I have not told him that I am doing this, but it's been amazing for me to do it because I'm not bugged. I'm not letting these things that like aren't really a big deal get to me.
And are you saying those things internally or are you saying them out loud?
I'm saying them internally.
Cori, what would you say to someone who doesn't believe in manifestation or who like doesn't believe in like this?
The skeptics.
Yeah, the skeptics. I would encourage them to try it. Like, I think building awareness, because I believe we are all creating our reality. I have created my reality. I create my reality every day. And when you can be intentional, it's powerful, right? I'm intentional with my meditation and my manifestation in the morning. But you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Because I will tell you, I was the most skeptical person about everything. And so for me to go from somebody who was like, thought everything was silly to now being the person that manifests every single day, like, you have to try it if you want to believe it. But it also, like, if you're being skeptical, like, look at your life. Look at your life right now. Like, take a moment to pause and say, okay, do I have the things that I want to have? Is my life happy? Is my life joyful? Or am I stuck or am I unhappy? Well, like, okay, look at the things in your life that are keeping you there because you are manifesting that. If you're feeling stuck, you've drawn that in somehow, some way. And so I would just say, like, just be aware of the things that are happening in your life, but try it. Just try it.
There's no harm in trying.
Yeah, but it's not going to hurt you. Like, it's like, all you have to do is sit with yourself for 5 minutes and like live in positive energy and believe in a beautiful future. Like, that's going to be great for you. It's amazing. And then you'll see these synchronicities, these things that will start to happen in your life, whether that's a connection or an experience or a moment. And then you'll start to see like, oh, this is real.
And you personally, when you manifest, at least it seems like a couple times when you do it on a daily basis, it's before you go to bed. Is there like a specific time that like manifesting might be more approachable or digestible to someone who's a skeptic or hasn't done it before to fit it into their daily schedule?
Yeah. I think you can manifest at any time of day. I just think like once I get into my day, my brain is on and it's hard for me to settle it down. And so if I can take that time in the morning to just do it before my mind starts going, I'm more able to be present. So I encourage people to do it in the morning.
Okay.
I think if you're going to do it at night, take some time to journal, maybe plan your next day, like get things out of your head before you lay down to do that. Because we all know that visualization, meditation isn't perfect, right? You'll be thinking of something and then here comes this thought and then, oh, wait, I have to go back. Oh, and then here's this thought and then you have to go back. But, just being really intentional in the morning or night, I think is the best. But I will tell you, there's moments in my life where I'm manifesting all day, where I'm like sitting in my car and I'm doing breath work and I'm speaking positive affirmations or visually seeing like a meeting that's coming up. I think you can do it anytime, all day. But if you want a specific time, early in the morning or right before you go to bed.
I love that.
We gotta try it.
I know. I'm like, okay, I gotta be better about this manifestation.
I'm gonna manifest my baby's name, and I'm gonna manifest having a natural birth after the C-section. Those are my two things I'm gonna focus on over the next month or two.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking because we're gonna start trying for baby number 2 here pretty soon, and so I'm like starting to think about Got to start manifesting that, that second baby.
Yeah.
I'm going to manifest my new dog getting over her separation anxiety so my wife and I can finally leave the house.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a great thing. Yeah.
That's a good one too. So, Cori, to kind of wrap up the podcast, even though we could probably keep talking for hours, we have 2 questions that we like to ask our guests. We haven't prepped you for it. One thing, what is a lesson you've had to learn the hard way?
Most of my lessons? I would say one of the hard lessons is people show you how they feel about you by the way that they treat you. I had to learn that the hard way.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had to learn it a lot of times with a lot of people, and not just in partnerships, but in friendships.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Okay, so our next question is sort of the opposite of that. What is a motto or a saying or, something that someone taught you that you're close with that you kind of live life by?
I live my life by being grateful. And so somewhere in those early moments of my self-development journey, somebody said it. And I could not tell you who, but it was at the beginning of when I started practicing yoga. And that's really kind of that energy around it and being grateful. And I will tell you, being around people that were grateful, like Lisa from Core Power was such a big influence on me because of her energy and how she showed up in the world. And she was always grateful for every single person that came to her yoga class. That was really powerful. So I would say that gratitude. I mean, gratitude has transformed my life.
Now, just during this podcast, I've been starting to write like a Rolodex is forming of like, okay, these are all the things that like I could be grateful for. And I really felt my energy, to your point, where you're just kind of like, it's lighter, it's more grounded.
Yes.
It's a really good feeling. It's a really easy practice that anyone, anytime can do.
Yes.
Cori, if someone wants to possibly find you to work with, how would they go about that?
So I would say going to my website and just booking a call is a great thing to do. And I'd love to connect and be of service to anybody that is interested in learning more.
And pick up your book. What was your book's name again?
Thrive and Flourish, Self-Development Strategies for High-Achieving Women in Business and Life. Yes, I wrote that because I want to be of service in any way possible. So there's actual tangible things in there. So take a pen and paper if you grab the book to do the work.
And we will link to Cori's book, website, and Instagram in our show notes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Cori.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Sip, savor, and live well with new episodes of Steeped in Wellness every Wednesday. Follow our show for free on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you're listening right now. Leave your questions and comments below. Find us on Instagram at Steeped in Wellness Podcast, or for more, click on matcha.com.